Ksenia, Baron, really excited to speak with you both today. I appreciate you carving out the time. I think we're going to have a really good conversation, hoping to cover a number of different topics, including UNest, the importance of financial literacy, how you two connected, and where you see this space going. Before we do that, Baron, would love to start with you. You've obviously had a really successful career in the NBA, two-time All-Star, played for multiple successful sports franchises, but you've also been successful off the court in business and investing. How is it, that you've made that transition and been able to be successful both on and off the court?
Thanks, Mark. I would say for me, it was, when I was young, I looked at my career and I said, all right, where am I going to end up? Right. And how much attention do I want to pay, to my brand building and who I want to be. And, I spent my first 3 years with an agent. And, for me, it was an internship and an opportunity for me to learn what I needed to learn when my next contract came up. And so when that happened, I became my own agent, built my own agency, and started to really look at, what are the things that I want to be and get into early in my career. So when it's time for retirement, I would have an opportunity to, already be set up. Right. And so with that, just kind of like trying different, sectors that people say don't, right? But learning and gathering the information, so at some point, when your career is over, you'll be able to, have assets and have a portfolio and, have these connections that'll allow you to, be trusted by your peers to invest money in, invest money with. And, that was ultimately the brand that I wanted to build when I was young was who am I going to be after basketball?
I love that. Makes a lot of sense. And Ksenia, I think, building on that, UNest, you built a really exciting organization that I think is really timely, and it solves a need in the marketplace. You've obviously had the opportunity to connect with Baron and bring him on the team as investor and ambassador. Can you talk a little bit about what UNest is and how the idea came about?
Basically, UNest, as you might know, is a super easy to use mobile app that helps parents save for their kids' education with tax-free college savings plans. And we also help parents establish investment accounts for kids. And our mission is basically democratize access to financial solutions that help parents save for their kids' education and just help parents save for their kids' future. How it all came about. So I would say that what inspired me to start UNest was, just rising cost of college and this huge problem in the country. So basically, if you think about it, the student debt right now is a 1.7 trillion national crisis, right? Like everyone's talking about it, but no one is really helping parents when it's like right time to start saving. So I came to the idea from two dimensions, one from my personal and another one from professional. So from the personal standpoint, I graduated from UCLA Anderson, got my MBA, and I graduated with like huge student loan. Not just myself, but also a lot of my friends got affected with the same problem. And then from the professional standpoint, I spent about 4 years working at Capital Group, which is the #1 provider of 529 college savings plan in the nation. And when I was at Capital, basically I was working with high net worth individuals, right? So all of my, clients were, like really wealthy with like $5 million in assets and up. And I was getting a lot of questions from my friends who are not as wealthy, not as fortunate about how they can start saving for their kids. And I provided a solution that we used at Capital Group, which was 15 pages long financial application. And I just got like a lot of pushback. And they were telling me that they're using, tools like Robinhood and Venmo and Acorns. And I was like, oh, really? Like, what is that? Like, so I started learning a lot about fintech. And then I looked around and I realized that, oh my God, 70% of people in the country don't even know about 529s, right? Like so many people don't have access to financial advisors. Like about 90% don't even have access to financial advisors. At the same time, we all know that cost of education is rising at 6% per year. And it becomes such a big burden on families, right? If they're not saving on time. So I decided, look, there is a huge problem in the country. No one is really helping parents to save. There is an opportunity to solve this problem with technology. And it can be like a really kind of mission-driven process, right? Because we're not just like trying to build something, like build technology. We actually, solving hopefully the future or changing the future of the entire generation of parents and their kids.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, as a father of two, I definitely see the importance of savings. And I think you bring up a number of great points, but I want to touch on something you mentioned. So you were at a great organization, if my research serves me correctly, at a pretty senior role. Was it difficult to find the conviction to take that entrepreneurial leap to start UNest?
That's a good question. So for me, the process was like this, like I kind of came up with pros and cons for both. Staying at Capital Group, I was vice president, like financial advisor. So yeah, like you said, like really good position, all the benefits and all of that. But on the other hand, I had this opportunity to solve a big problem, right? And be on a very exciting journey. And like, of course, like I had to account for a number of factors, like, can I even do it financially? Like, preparing for like maybe like long fundraising process, like can I build a team? Like I've never done it before. I don't have any like tech experience. So of course it was like a very kind of long, just like thought process and like just waiting like all pros and cons. But eventually I decided if I don't give it a try, I will just regret it all my life. I'll just regret it for the rest of my life because I was like, look, I feel like I'm the right person to solve it, right? Just based on the fact that, I've experienced this problem like firsthand, being a student, graduating with student loans. I have kids myself, like, so I understand the mentality of parents and how we feel about our children. I understand it's like our top, like number one priority. Having this expertise at Capital Group, and being a CFA, certified financial analyst, I was like, okay, probably I am the right person to solve it. So why I am even like contemplating, I should just like give it a try and see what happens.
And Ksenia, you hit on a great point. Baron, question for you. Clearly, I've seen you highlight publicly that financial literacy is something that you're passionate about. Can you talk a little bit about where that stems from, and then we can transition to how you got involved in UNest?
I just think from, when I was young, my grandmother always taught me to save money. I used to go with her to pay her bills, her and my grandfather, right? My grandfather every day would take his change out of his pocket and put it on the desk before he went to sleep. And I would sit there and I counted and I'd line the pennies and the nickels and the dimes, right? And I remember he told me if I could count, whatever change he had in his pocket, I can keep and put in, my piggy bank. And so, I still do that to this day, right? I got a change bank, a piggy bank. And I think the whole point of financial literacy, for kids like me that come from the inner city is it's an opportunity to have fun, right? It's an opportunity to learn. And I think that, where I'm at now is, from a content standpoint, right, from a branding standpoint, a creative standpoint, is how do we take these tools, right, and these words and bring words to life through characters, right, words to life through content, right? So, the people who don't just digest words and information great can actually digest it and want to share this, social media content or digital media content, right? And the information is there. And I think, for me, being a part of UNest, right? We have a company called UWish. And, our whole motto is giving has no season. You wish it, you dream it, it'll come true. And so the opportunity to, partner with UNest and see the vision that Ksenia has, right? We were like, how can we get all of our people involved, right? And I think, our relationship is one that, we sit and we strategize about, how to amplify this message of UNest across the world, right? Because this information should be information that is digestible and something that everyone can do. And so having 2 kids, I think I got like 20 guy kids, I wish I had a platform like this when I started my career in the NBA, right? Because this is something that, we all could have learned as a community and as an ecosystem.
Absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense. And there were a lot of good, poignant nuggets in there that I think really resonate with a lot of people. So sort of transitioning there, when you talk about your involvement, Baron, with UNest and Ksenia, we would love to hear the perspective on how you two sort of connected and where that stems from.
Yeah, I can start, Baron, you can add. So yeah, we connected through the mutual friends who are also our investors. So it's Antis Capital who put us in touch right around Series A round. And what I really liked about that introduction is that, we were actually looking for someone who, will be like the type of like celebrity status, right? But not just someone, but someone who would actually be aligned with the mission and be a proponent of financial literacy and would be a parent, right? And basically Baron just checked all those boxes. He was a parent, we both graduated from UCLA. He immediately could relate to the mission. And what was for me, personally, very inspirational from that first conversation with Baron is that he saw the opportunity with our platform, not to only help his kids or help his friends. He saw the opportunity to help the underserved communities. His immediate thought was oh my gosh, how can we take this platform and help those kids that need it the most, right? Because it's basically, we all believe in education. We believe that education is a huge equalizer, that it gives people opportunities in life, but a lot of kids just are not fortunate enough to have those opportunities. So how can we take what we build or what we're building, and it takes a village, right, to solve this problem. So Baron basically said, look, I don't want to be just an investor, I want to be a brand ambassador, and I want to bring my resources, my experience, my connections into solving this problem and joining you on the journey. So that's why to me it was oh my gosh, I want to partner with this guy.
That is awesome. I think it makes a lot of sense. It sounds like there are a lot of commonalities between what Baron brings to the table and what you all are looking for, which is great. I think it's interesting because in doing research, I found, I think September is National College Savings Month, if I recall correctly. And, when we talk about financial literacy, at least in my experience, it's not discussed often enough. And I know UNest is really positioned to help address that. Why do you feel like now is the time where UNest can really address some of the market needs? And so what are you all working on currently?
Yeah, I would say why now? So first of all, generation, right? Our generation is different. We have different needs, different demands. We are, exposed to such a high level of simplicity and convenience. Think about Amazon, we're all shopping online. It's click on the button. Think about, I don't know, Google. You work at Google, right? Searching, and exploring things. So I would say that that's something that's still missing in finance, right? Our expectations as a generation is that everything should be very simple, on your fingertips, 5-minute setup, management from your app, from your phone, making additional deposits into the app, on the go. So that's why I think timing wise, that's the right time. Another thing is that because of pandemic, right, that trend even accelerated even more, not only to technology, but also to savings. Because what we've witnessed is that during pandemic, people and parents started saving even more. First of all, times of uncertainty, right? I need to prepare for my future. I need to start saving for my kids' future. And then a lot of parents also got locked down with the kids at home, and that kind of reinforced the message. So Mark, you probably can relate sitting at home with your 2 little ones
Yes.
running around. And some of the initiatives we're working on, always trying to listen to the market, right? Like listen to our families. Like, what do they want? One of the things that was like very strong, like the strong message we received, is that they would like their family and friends to be involved in that process through gifting, right? Like we get this question a lot: how can my friends, family, grandparents kind of contribute, right? Because some parents don't even have means, right, to start saving, but they do have community around them, like other people who care about their kids. And that's why, like, we probably will have that question at some point, but like that's why the gifting was on our roadmap, like for a long time. We were trying to like execute on it, and with the acquisition of Little Fund, basically that kind of came true, right? Like the dream came true. It was like perfect timing.
That's great. Congrats on that acquisition. And I think you hit on a lot of really important points, right? Community can drive a lot of value, especially in this environment. I want to zoom out just a little bit, if it's okay, and question both for you and Baron is operating business in this environment. How has it been, right? Since earlier this year, we've obviously been forced to be a little more distant than we probably all like to be. But as an entrepreneur and Baron as an investor and ambassador, you still have to get things done. How have each of you been managing a early stage company and business building process in this environment?
I say for me, being an entrepreneur and an investor has been extremely interesting. When you start looking at, one of the times we're in with the pandemic, to the times we're in with social justice, right? And the commitment that, companies, investors are making. I think that, for us, we've been fighting this good fight as entrepreneurs, for the last 5 or 6 years. And now as an investor and an entrepreneur, I think where we find ourselves is at, the center of attention, right? And with that comes greater responsibility. And it's been great for us because now we get to position ourselves in the market to go out and raise a fund to continue to invest in companies, right? To continue to partner with companies and actually create change. So for us, it's been a great opportunity to get the right amount of deal flow, right? To virtually meet these entrepreneurs have been, it is a leap of faith, but I think when you're paying attention to these, virtual meet and greets, pitches, things like that, you're highly focused on, what's going on in the background. You know what I mean? And there is no background, so you have to focus on the words,
Yeah.
and you really get a sense of the personality of the entrepreneur. So that has been great for us, and we've been just one looking at education, health tech, right? Just things to kind of like holistically round out where we need to be as human beings. And then on the entertainment side, just, content that resonates, that come from, our people and people that, have been underserved, whether it's women, whether it's minorities, black and brown, LGBTQ, right? We've been marginalized enough. And so I think holistically it's been fun to unite a community.
Absolutely. And Ksenia, what about you?
Yeah, I would say it was interesting time, right? Like when pandemic hit, there were some challenges, obviously, because we had to move, to working from home, and we are not a large established organization. So you can think about it, like, like we still like small growing startup that trying to establish our culture, and like it's hard to build culture remotely. Right. So it's kind of like, how do you reinforce the messages and tell people what you believe in, like, and what's your mission and how we're going to accomplish it together? It's a little hard to do online. We're trying our best. I think like right now we are in a good, like stable state. We reinforcing like a lot of like communication, we like very like frequent meetings and happy hours, and trying to even sometimes meet in person. On the positive side, I would say that any crisis presents opportunities, right? So on the macro level, in our industry, a lot of trends, as I mentioned, like accelerated, right? So it was very positive for business growth. We managed to raise our Series A round like right in the middle of pandemic. It was March, April when we started raising, like pretty much on the second day after everyone like went on lockdown. But what was good about it is that we saved ton of time and resources on traveling. We didn't have to like go to the Bay Area, New York. We just stayed, in our home in LA, and we've been lucky enough, fortunate enough to know a lot of investors that already expressed interest. So the round came together like very quickly. And I would say also like from the hiring perspective, it presents a lot of opportunities because, as you know, a lot of companies, a lot of startups made a lot of cuts and layoffs, but we were hiring like very opportunistically, and we actually made few great additions to the team, like, super talented people, so it was challenging first. Now like we all adapted and we're thriving.
Absolutely. And I think, ultimately as a startup, you need to be nimble and flexible. And it sounds like you and the UNest team have been really effective at that. And I take it based on sort of the timing in my research, you and Baron probably haven't met in person yet necessarily, but you've been able to sort of really build and be effective to date. Is that right?
We actually met yesterday for the first time.
Awesome.
Just to take a couple of pictures for this interview.
Awesome.
But yeah, we met for coffee. It was amazing.
Yeah, social distance coffee. It was good. It was good.
That's exciting. Absolutely. And ultimately, I think we can all appreciate that the way businesses operating is going to change for all of us, and making sure we get ahead of it is going to be important, and adapting, where possible. So a few more questions and then we can wrap up because I want to be respectful of time. When we think of UNest and sort of the vision moving forward, Baron, as investor and ambassador, would love to understand sort of, where you see particularly the ambassador role playing, what that entails. And then Ksenia, where the organization in terms of what your short-term goals are, that'd be interesting as well.
I would say for me, it's to change the ambassador name to a champion.
Okay.
Because platform, it just serves, such a great purpose, right? And it has, so much, let's say fruit, right? And vegetables and, all the healthy vitamins you need to, prepare for your future. Right. And so changing that word from ambassador to champion and finding other champions who are equally passionate. Right. And whether that comes from the content side, people that can help on the business development side. I think, this is a company, we talk about community that the community can rally around. Right. This is a company that any athlete or entertainer that has kids, nieces, nephews, right, little cousins, and want to do something great for them, this is a platform for that, right? And so whether you're young or old, whether you have old money or new money, right, whether you're trying to save, it's a great opportunity for for me to, ignite and find the right champions who want to be a part of the journey. And, I'm happy with the responsibility that UNest and Ksenia have, given me. And I just want to continue to pass the torch and light torches for, people can, really champion this company.
Yeah, so I would say first of all, we would like to continue on our mission to help parents, prepare for the kids' financial future. And we would like to be real advocates for parents. From the business perspective, we definitely would like to establish this leadership position in the market, right? Because I believe there are a lot of fintech solutions, right? But not enough that would solve real problem. A lot of challenger banks, but not enough that would be kind of advocates for long-term investments, right? With carrying this message that look, despite of your economic background, everyone can start saving for their kids' future. Start small, it's never late, it's never too early, right? And even small contribution, can help you achieve huge financial returns in the future. and what it entails, like, like how we get there, right? So first of all, like, started as a college savings solution with 529. We are now launching a new type of account in October, actually, that will help parents save not only for education, but for other milestones and financial goals. For example, like, buying the first house or buying the first car, or, saving for the wedding day, with also tax benefits, which is great, and no penalties for early withdrawals, and like no kind of confusion about states. And also, like, we're becoming broker dealer, which great, like it gives us a lot of flexibility on type of investments, for example, that parents can use for their kids. So we're not going to be limited to just mutual funds or ETFs. Parents can actually select the stocks, the portfolio for their children, or maybe like they'll like try a little bit of real estate or crypto. And then, of course, the gifting. Gifting is a huge project for our team right now. It may sound like as a very easy initiative, but actually it's not. When you buy another company and you're trying to integrate technology, the cultures, the teams, everything that goes into it, it's a huge endeavor. And so basically spending a lot of time just to understand, how exactly we, getting that product to the market. And then, just kind of growing from there. I would say, like, in my big, like, grand vision, right, we would like to solve this problem and help parents not only in the United States but across the world. So hopefully, like, 5 years from now, maybe sooner, we will start expanding internationally, and we will launch solution in other countries as well.
That's really encouraging. It sounds like you're being extremely thoughtful and also taking a long-term perspective on how to add value to more and more users. And obviously, this topic that can be extremely important for everyone in some way, shape, or form, right? You give a lot of great examples of different types of things that folks might want to save for. When you think of the acquisition component, bringing in a company, you're right. There are probably a lot of challenges that the average person overlooks. So I can appreciate the thoughtfulness that you bring to that. In closing, I guess I'd have a question for both of you. When we think of the topic of financial literacy, what are one or two takeaways that you think everybody in the audience should have just on the topic of financial literacy?
I would say it's not hard, right? It's not hard. It's numbers. It's the things that we live our lives, right? The things that we do day to day with our lives is, embrace the numbers, embrace the information, because a lot of times we just don't want to sit down and get the lecture, right? But the lecture is important if we break it up into digestible palettes so we can understand how it makes sense for our daily lives. And so for me, financial literacy is snackables. Financial literacy now is entertainment, right? It's marketing, right? Financial literacy is learning from those things and being able to apply it, to your life, right? So, I'm excited about, this space, and, I think there's a golden opportunity where UNest sits.
Yeah, and I would say a couple things. So first of all, prioritize, right? Because there are so many things that, like, people are confused, just like overall, right? Like, finance can be like overwhelming, intimidating for people. I would say, like, pick your battles. In my mind, like, saving for kids should be the priority for parents. They can start saving for retirement a little, later. They still have about 15, 20 years, like when the kids actually goes to school. Some people don't realize that, actually. And like, for retirement, at least we're getting some help from the government. For kids, they are on their own. They're going to be drawn like in those student loans. And the second thing I would say, a lot of people think that they need to be wealthy, they need to be rich to get started, right? No, like, anyone can start. Like, if you start small, if you start like just putting a little bit, like $25, $50 on a monthly basis, just stay consistent, be disciplined, and kind of learn as you go, right? Like, it's just a matter of getting started and be like, being disciplined. And then you can start increasing the contributions, increasing your savings, understand the products a little better as time goes. And yeah, educate yourself, but there is no reason to over complicate things. We're also trying to break everything down in very simple, digestible, concepts that anyone can understand.
That is really important. And if I'm hearing you both correctly, it sounds like, one, don't be intimidated. Two, take action. And number three, take responsibility for the process, which I think is really important for all, everybody who's paying attention to this space and everybody in general. In terms of the interview portion, really want to thank both of you for joining. I think it's been a really constructive conversation, and my hope is that everybody can walk away with some real good value add.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mark, for your time.
Absolutely.